You walk into a brightly lit store or book a flight on a premium carrier. Everything looks pristine on the surface, but if you look closer, the lines are slightly longer. The staff look more exhausted. The product feels a little cheaper in your hands. Meanwhile, on the corporate dashboard back at headquarters, the numbers are glowing green. Margins are up, profits are setting records, and the executive team is celebrating a flawless quarter. This creates a common misconception: the belief that a cleaner balance sheet always means a healthier company. We assume that if the numbers look good, the system must be working. But what if the system isn't actually healing? What if the pain didn't disappear, but was simply moved to a place where the dashboard can no longer measure it? When a company shrinks its boundary, it redraws the map of its problems. Friction inside is swept outside the lines. Analysts fall for this framed picture. But zooming out, we see the massive friction pushed just past the perimeter. The bleeding doesn't stop. It just gets transferred to vendors, pushed onto customers, or buried in deferred maintenance. Recognizing how this pain is relocated is the first step in identifying companies that are quietly bleeding out off balance sheet. Genuine operational improvement is rare. More often, what appears as clean growth is simply the spatial outsourcing of pain. Inside a major corporation, key performance indicators, or KPIs, define the reality of the business. They determine executive bonuses, drive stock prices, and decide if management survives. When a CEO is mandated to improve margins, the hardest way is to actually innovate or streamline deeply ingrained inefficiencies. That takes years. Boundary management is much faster. If you cannot fix the bleeding within your department, you simply push it outside your defined metric. Look at this cost chart. A company can simply isolate the functions dragging down their averages and amputate them, sliding those costs into an external ledger to make the remaining internal numbers look efficient. But the company hasn't stopped relying on those functions. They haven't solved the underlying problem. They've only changed the accounting relationship. This creates a system that incentivizes financial sleight of hand over authentic problem solving. Imagine a hospital mandated to reduce its patient mortality rate. They could invest in better surgical outcomes, or they could take the easier path, discharging the sickest patients slightly earlier. Because those high-risk patients are no longer on the books, the hospital's internal KPI suddenly looks pristine. But the human reality hasn't improved. The suffering was just relocated outside the metric's jurisdiction. When pain is moved outside the lines of a metric, that metric loses its connection to the truth. This hospital scenario is exactly what happens in corporate boardrooms every single day. By shrinking the official payroll, a company can make its revenue per employee metric skyrocket. But the work hasn't actually become easier. Shifting tasks to a third party doesn't eliminate the friction of the job. It just hides it from the math. This is why we must look past pristine earnings reports and ask one fundamental question. Did the company actually get more efficient, or did they just force someone else to bleed for them? Take a look at the modern boardroom's favorite fairy tale, the perfectly efficient company. On paper, everything looks entirely clean, and the quarterly earnings are pristine. But running a real business is difficult. Dealing with that difficulty generates what we can call operational friction, and friction operates a lot like physical matter. It has mass, it requires energy to manage, and it cannot simply evaporate into the ether. So when a company suddenly presents a miraculously lean balance sheet but hasn't actually invented a radically better product or service, you have to ask a simple question: where did the bleeding go? Because the day-to-day pain of doing business didn't stop, it was just moved. Executives often achieve this pristine look by taking the operational friction and shoving it completely outside the boundaries of their key performance indicators. Wall Street happily rewards this illusion of cleanliness, but the true cost of that efficiency doesn't vanish. It gets forcefully relocated out of the corporate dashboard and dropped directly into the real world. Let's look at how this plays out, starting with this chart. This shows a metric called customer service expense. Watch how beautifully it plummets into the optimal zone. Looking at this, the company is brilliantly optimized. 2 decades ago, if you had a problem with a product, you called a dedicated line and spoke to a trained human being. That employee's time, training, and benefits weighed heavily on the company's operating margin. They were a massive cost center. Today, that human cost center has been carefully scrubbed away. You are instead greeted by a labyrinthine automated phone tree, looped in endless circles by AI chatbots, and eventually forced to dig through community forums to find your own answer. The actual labor required to solve the problem is exactly the same as it was 20 years ago. The company simply stopped doing it and transferred the burden entirely onto you. You are now spending your frustration and energy doing the work the corporation used to absorb. Their newfound efficiency is an unpaid time tax levied directly on your personal ledger. This same displacement happens B2B. This bar chart shows a conglomerate's free cash flow trending robustly upward. Investors love this cash position, but they didn't sell products faster. Instead, they extended payment terms from a standard 30 to 120 days. Down the supply chain, the smaller vendors who actually manufactured the goods now have to wait a third of a year to get paid. They are the ones scrambling to secure bridge loans, paying interest, and stressing over making payroll to survive the wait. By withholding payment, the conglomerate effectively forces its smaller, much more vulnerable suppliers to act as a free, involuntary credit facility. The pristine cash position at the top of the chain is a mirage. It is funded entirely by engineering severe cash flow fragility at the very bottom. The pain was just pushed across the corporate boundary line. Then we have Wall Street's absolute favorite metric, revenue per employee. On this chart, watch what happens when the revenue numerator stays perfectly steady, but the employee count in the denominator drops drastically. The ratio shoots through the roof. Companies accomplish this mathematical trick by offloading their workforce to third-party staffing agencies, or reclassifying everyone as independent contractors. The official internal headcount drops, making the organization look incredibly agile. But the physical work hasn't changed. The actual human beings driving, delivering, and building are still there, sweating through the same grueling routines. They are just no longer visible on the main dashboard. Because they are classified as external, these workers are stripped of benefits and job security. When an economic crisis hits, the company can instantly sever ties, using these invisible workers as disposable shock absorbers. The corporate entity appears unnaturally resilient. The systemic fragility hasn't been cured. The true economic bleeding is very real. It's just happening in a demographic that the KPI refuses to track. If a company can't push its operational pain onto customers, suppliers, or contractors, there is one final destination available. They push it into the future. This is the tactic of deferred maintenance. A CEO looking to quickly inflate quarterly profit margins will quietly gut the budget for infrastructure upgrades, legacy software updates, or standard safety inspections. The cost completely vanishes from the ledger. For a few quarters or even a few years, everything holds together. The dashboard looks flawless, margins expand beautifully, and the executive team is praised by the board for their strict, uncompromising cost discipline. But in the shadows, the decay is compounding. The physical and digital infrastructure is rotting from the inside out. The pipes are rusting, the code is becoming obsolete, and the safety protocols are fraying to the breaking point. Eventually, the deferred pain turns into kinetic energy. When the inevitable catastrophic failure occurs, whether that's a massive data breach, an industrial accident, or a total system collapse, the cost to rebuild is tenfold what the routine maintenance would have been. A miraculously clean corporate metric is rarely a sign of genuine innovation. It usually means the architects of the illusion successfully forced the true cost of business onto someone else, safely cashing out their bonuses right before the pain explodes back onto the balance sheet. Institutional finance operates in deeply insulated environments. High above the street, modern analysts examine the world through polished screens and perfectly clean glass tables. They rarely walk a factory floor. They don't monitor customer service calls or check internal pipes for rust. Operating at a strict physical distance, they must function as pattern-matching machines. To judge a complex business from thousands of miles away, analysts rely entirely on proxies. They read earnings reports, scan financial statements, and track key performance indicators curated by management. Building valuations exclusively on these abstract documents creates a dangerous vacuum. The numbers become divorced from the physical context of the business. The map replaces the territory. Take a common scenario. An analyst opens a spreadsheet and sees that the cost of goods sold, the direct costs of producing goods, has dropped by 4%. On the screen, this single line item registers as an absolute victory. Profit margins widen and the stock price ticks upward in response. This graphic illustrates the disconnect. The top half shows the green, rising profit line Wall Street celebrates, but the bottom half reveals the reality underneath. That reduction was achieved by squeezing a supplier until they cut corners on raw materials. The spreadsheet doesn't know about cheapened materials. The metric is blind to the method used. Because the numbers only measure outcomes and not operations, severe internal bleeding can be easily disguised. The market happily rewards the decay as clean, effortless growth. This dynamic is a textbook manifestation of Goodhart's law. The principle states that when a measure becomes a target, it ceases to be a good measure. Consider the pressure to maintain a high revenue per employee ratio. When analysts signal that they will pay a premium for highly efficient, lean companies, that ratio officially becomes the target. A CEO reacting to this incentive will look at their payroll and systematically eliminate workers who do not directly generate high revenue. They will cut compliance staff, cut maintenance crews, and veteran support personnel, even if those employees perform vital, stabilizing functions. The executives hit their target. They secure their bonuses by optimizing the dashboard metric, fully aware that they are actively damaging the long-term health of the organization just to hit that number. The market actively encourages this behavior. Investors gladly pay massive valuation premiums for businesses that present a clean, tech-like story of frictionless expansion. To maintain that premium, companies construct a narrative boundary, a surgical line separating pristine dashboards from messy operational reality. Safely inside is everything easy to sell: software, brand management, and strategy. Meanwhile, grueling logistics, human labor, and heavy infrastructure are forcibly pushed away and ignored. Investors eagerly play along with this illusion. Acknowledging the messy physical reality would require them to immediately reprice the asset downward. It is far easier to pretend the bleeding doesn't exist if you don't have to see the blood. This shared delusion directly rewards corporate leaders for quietly shifting their operational pain onto unseen, marginalized workers and vulnerable suppliers. Over years of this behavior, the organization undergoes a physical degradation. It suffers a complete loss of operational muscle memory. Relentless outsourcing strips away the robust mechanics of the business, leaving behind a fragile shell that is little more than a brand name and a financial engineering department. The company actually forgets how to solve logistical problems. Its only remaining capability is knowing how to push friction off its own desk and onto a vendor's plate. As this operational muscle atrophies, the business enters a final stage of decay. It no longer creates value through its own expertise. It becomes an engine of extraction, sustained entirely by the labor and resilience of partners it has systematically squeezed to the breaking point. We saw the ultimate stress test of these highly optimized corporate dashboards during the recent global supply chain crisis. Decades of extreme just-in-time efficiency and aggressive vendor squeezing suddenly left these hollowed-out companies entirely paralyzed. When the shock hit the system, they had completely outsourced their resilience. They had built zero buffer to absorb the impact. All the physical pain management they had spent years pushing off their balance sheets came roaring back into plain sight, and this time they lacked the internal capacity to handle it. Until capital markets learn to look past the pristine surface of the dashboard and trace the true location of operational friction, we will continue to build corporations that appear visually perfect but are dangerously brittle. If the corporate dashboard is omitting the most crucial truths, how do we defend ourselves? When a company reports growth that looks entirely too clean, how do we read it accurately? The answer requires a complete shift in how we interpret data. We have to stop accepting financial metrics as objective reality. A KPI is not a law of physics. It is a human construct, designed, optimized, and frequently manipulated by management. To find the truth, you have to stop looking at the metrics the company actually wants you to see. Instead, you must become a forensic auditor of operational friction. The primary task of this audit is to actively search for displaced pain. You have to look far outside the carefully constructed boundaries of the executive dashboard to locate exactly where the company dumped its friction. Understanding this outward transfer of friction is our best defense. It prevents us from looking at a hollow company and mistaking it for an industry titan. Let's track exactly where that friction goes. The first vector to examine is the end user. When a company announces a miraculous reduction in operating costs, do not assume they invented a better mousetrap. Look at what they are asking the customer to absorb. Often, the first sign of this displacement is a sudden friction in the user experience. A standard tactic is trapping users in impenetrable, labyrinth-like loops just to cancel a basic subscription. Next, they strip out expensive human support staff, replacing them with cheap, dead-end AI chatbots that solve fewer problems but cost pennies to run. Then comes the nickel and diming. They take standard services and unbundle them, charging entirely new premium fees for the exact same functions. These tactics monetize user frustration, but growth driven by customer exhaustion is inherently unsustainable. Eventually, the operational burden becomes so high that the customer simply defects to a competitor who respects their time. When the customer can't absorb any more pain, management shifts the burden down the supply chain to the second vector, the vendor ecosystem. This chart shows soaring free cash flow overlaying accounts payable days outstanding, tracking how long it takes to pay bills. Boasting about cash flow while taking much longer to pay vendors means treating suppliers as an involuntary credit facility, cannibalizing their ecosystem. Exhausting the customer and choking the supplier tells us one thing: the operational bleeding hasn't actually stopped, it's simply been forced onto the company's external partners. Once the external avenues are tapped out, the audit must pivot inward to the third vector of displaced friction, the labor force itself. You will often see a company touting an incredible revenue per employee metric, but this efficiency is frequently a mirage masking a deeply hollowed-out corporate core. Beneath that metric, you'll find a core workforce constantly churning. To keep headcount costs low, management aggressively shifts critical, complex functions to third-party contractors. The severe consequence of this labor shift is a massive, hidden brain drain. The company is actively trading institutional knowledge for short-term margins, losing the exact personnel who know how to fix the systems when they inevitably break. Finally, we move from human capital to the physical realm, and the fourth vector of transferred pain, physical assets and the trap of deferred maintenance. This chart shows capital expenditure, money spent on physical infrastructure, compared to the rolling average of 3 industry peers. A widening gap shows the company systematically underspending its competition. Suppressing CapEx artificially inflates current profits by refusing to pay the bill for tomorrow's structural integrity. Trading away institutional knowledge and deferring critical infrastructure upgrades guarantees one thing: the company is borrowing its current margin expansion against a catastrophic future bill, an inevitable outage, a data breach, or a complete structural failure. When a company presents a picture of flawless financial execution, your default assumption should be skepticism, not awe. True operational excellence is messy. It involves trial and error, heavy visible investment, and friction. It rarely produces perfectly smooth, upward-trending charts quarter after quarter. The most resilient companies in the world do not dump their pain onto their customers, workers, or vendors. They internalize their pain. They absorb the operational friction, study it, and engineer genuine solutions. Because they absorb those costs, their margins might look slightly lower in the short term. Their dashboards might lack the spectacular optics of their peers, but their foundation is built on solid stone. The masquerade of clean growth is designed to fool the casual observer. Track the transferred pain outside the carefully constructed dashboard, and you will see the bleeding, no matter where management tries to hide it. Subscribe to Capital Frontlines for more deep dives into the mechanics of modern finance, and hit the notification bell to stay ahead of the next crisis.